Howdy, howdy, howdy. Hope everybody is good this evening, this Saturday evening. It's 8 o'clock, your time, my time, maybe 9 o'clock on the east. Not maybe, it really is 9 o'clock in the east. It's 7 o'clock back to the west. I notice we've got somebody from Colorado already writing us here from the Rockies. So, what in the world? So, I appreciate you being here with us. I haven't talked for a while. I had, the last time we did this, we did a long couple of days, actually, like 16 hours worth. And I didn't have a voice for a couple of days afterwards, but if you were with me, probably you didn't either, because we were all screaming at the TV and, kind of yelling at what was going on. Not that we have a repeat. You never really have a repeat of the same sort of a thing, but we got sort of the same situation, sort of setup that's ongoing here that we'll be watching as we go into the next several days. I call it into the next 48 hours, although this is going to be beginning in about 48 hours from now, somewhere out into eastern Texas, make its way on the move to the east again, so we'll be watching where this happens. Now, a lot of what's going to happen is not just a mirror image of the last thing that took place. A lot of this always has to do with the daytime heating. And as a result, we're kind of looking at the way this all works out and is planned. It's not that it's got it in for you. It's that a lot of this is going to take place during the heating of the day. Terrestrially speaking, when the sun comes out and heats up the earth, and the earth responds with letting some of that turn around and go back and causing the air to already go upward when that does take place. And so a lot of times that timing is what really brings that out. I know a lot of people in West Alabama, they always used to gripe at me when I was a chief in Birmingham, Alabama. A lot of people would say, you only care about Western Alabama, west of I-65. Well, that's not true. It's just that Western Alabama, as far as the timing goes, was always in that belt to where the most heating of the day came in across western Alabama. So that's where most of at least the initialization of the genesis of most storms started out into western Alabama is kicking, and then would often weaken as they moved on further to the east. So sort of like what we're looking at now into the U.S. is that the southeastern United States, atypically for this time of the year, by the way, I say that and then I do remember, I'm old, remember, and so I remember times when this was no longer the tertiary or the even secondary. It was the primary this time of the year for a period of about 10 years. The southeastern United States, these months were the primary, not so much into March, April, May, but these were the months where some of the larger tornadoes did occur. And climatologically speaking, if there are going to be F2s or larger tornadoes, the dot is right over Jackson, Mississippi. The bullseye is. So it's not that unheard of, first of all. Let's get that out of the way. Secondly, I hope I can answer some of your questions. Hi, Henry from Stockbridge, Georgia is out with us tonight. Henry, did you ask permission to be out and about tonight? Really appreciate that. Elizabeth is from southeastern Louisiana. Very nice to have you with us, Elizabeth. And we'll try to answer questions tonight. We have a little bit of time to answer some questions. Again, we're a pretty good ways from the actual event taking place, so if the last time around, you had some questions about what was going on, well, now's the time that we can answer those because it's chill. We're all just kind of chill, although I got an air conditioner on behind me here for at least what's about to happen into the short term. So let's get to talking about what's going on. I put a little show together here, not a whole lot, but a little bit of a show to show you what we're expecting here, at least into the short term. Now, the severe risk is out there for Tuesday again, just like it was in some of the same general spots that it was the last time around when we did this. Now, we did have, at the moment, and they may update this any moment, at the moment, this is where it first begins is on Tuesday. Now, they had a little slight risk of 15% that was out there for a while that encompassed southeastern sections of Oklahoma and northeastern Texas there for a while. They've taken that out for the short term. I don't think they've added it back in, and but they may. But right now, as it stands, this is for Tuesday from 12Z, so early on Tuesday morning until Wednesday morning, actually, 12 to 12. And so the enhanced risk is for some of those northern parishes, Louisiana, southern counties, for Arkansas, right to the west of the Mississippi River, enhanced at a 30% chance, still a slight chance or a 15% chance to the rest of the area. That is pretty much, well, that's very kind of you. Henry says his cat, he asked permission. So, yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at here at the moment is basically that area. don't forget about any of these areas. Anywhere on the map here, I guess, is susceptible at some point or another to getting a storm. And we always have a tornado warning or two that's outside of our region that's been highlighted, our hatched region. But a cold front's coming on through, and yet again, another decent-sized cold front that will be passing on from west east. Big dew point change behind this frontal boundary as it passes on by. And we'll have a northwest wind blowing into Oklahoma City as it passes on by. Now, it doesn't reach the dew points, those high dew points, until just a little bit later on into the period. But as of now, there's your 30% on Tuesday, and then they push it. This is so similar to what happened the last go-around. I don't know why that 30 is hanging there. I apologize for that. But 15%, it's a slight risk. Hattiesburg, Meridian, Biloxi, back over to Houma, Louisiana, Port Sulphur into the Pensacola region there of northwest Florida under a slight risk for strong to severe thunderstorms and maybe some tornadoes into Wednesday. And if you think back, if you remember the path of everything that took place, it was an overnight event. This one will be too. It'll be overnight when the stuff comes into southeastern Mississippi and southern Alabama. But if you remember the last time it was too, it was like I went to bed at 5-something that morning. And if you remember, we had a tornado in Mobile, Alabama, in Mobile County, about 15 minutes later. So it was an overnight sort of a deal, early morning sort of a deal, but the risk is there for Tuesday into Wednesday. Now, as you move further and further along the area there that goes on eastward towards southern Alabama and the northern panhandle of Florida. So we'll be looking into that still yet. Celeste, there you go. How are you, Celeste? I haven't talked to you in years and years. Actually, we've never really talked, but that's so sweet of you to say. We miss you in Bama. I actually live here in Bama, in North Bama for the moment, so it's very sweet of you to say. That's very nice of you. I was chief meteorologist in Birmingham for 11 years-ish, kind of like that, in Chattanooga for many, many years, too. Satellite image here. This is the one. I love these satellite pictures. I thought I saw a UFO in one a little bit earlier today, but I think the government takes that out, don't they? Right now, what you can see is big low off to the east here, the Appalachians, and off the Atlantic seaboard. And then we've got more moisture coming in, tons of it actually coming across the Baja and moving across southern sections of Texas back into the southeastern United States. If you live in the southeast and you don't have a life jacket, I'd get one because the way things are going right now, you may need one. We have seen this southwesterly flow, the Pineapple Express, if you will, for a long time, many, many days now. And it's been raining and raining and raining for quite some time. Celeste, you can pick us up right here on this channel, by the way. I was out in Denver, Colorado doing the weather for National Weather Nation for about 10 years, but back now I'm trying to make a go of this because I still love the weather. I was about to retire, but still kind of doing this. So I'll be on this channel when we have severe weather, and I hope that you will join us. I know that these plumes mess up in the UK. Help! Do I need a life jacket in the UK? I don't know this. Are you in the UK? I know this is out of your league. That's what she said. Yeah, great to see you too, Celeste. That was so sweet. You made my day. You kind of, my hat's bulging. So anyway, that's what's going on with the satellite image. Where were we? Satellite image, and basically everything coming up out of the Pacific, moving across the Baja. There's your nighttime picture overall. Now, here's the deal. This is the storm that's coming in off the Pacific. And now that we're seeing the actual low pressure center come on shore, we'll have a whole lot more information about timing. The models are going to be a whole lot better. Look at the cold water queue that are still out here. They got cold air queue, coming in. And that's making those little queue. This is California, by the way, Oregon all the way up into Washington, D.C. And this is what it looks like at night. This is what the satellite loop looks like. And you're seeing a sandwich. It's called a sandwich image here, which gives us a little bit of information about colder cloud tops, the ones that are producing some of the thunderstorms or showers that are going on. Costa from Milwaukee, Wisconsin is there. So nice to have you here with us. Sometimes I forget, we can reach far and wide. So I really appreciate that. Appreciate everybody who is on here at the moment. We're probably not going to have a lot tonight. I know it's the holidays and all, but I think everybody who is taking the opportunity to watch. Now, I don't draw these maps, but it looks like somebody just, had the H on the end of their pen and they just went H, because there's like 12 of them. There's 12 centers of high pressure there. Maybe the highest one is the 1039 there in southwestern Wyoming. It's kind of hard to tell. There's a bunch of H's across the map there, which normally means hallelujah, great-looking weather. Except for this H over at Memphis, and it's not great-looking weather. We got a bunch of low-pressure centers, meaning the air is in these areas is really not doing well here. We're seeing ascension of the air, and as a result, we just got a lot of cloud cover. The high pressure means that the air is sinking. That prevents clouds from growing, so normally that is the deal. But we still got this southerly wind flow that's catching on here, and as a result, still plenty of moisture that'll be coming northward. Now, the forecast, let's get into it here because this is a very similar situation. This is the GFS model now, the global model that says it doesn't have a lot of resolution yet. We won't get into the high resolution modeling. We'll start to get into the 12K NGM model, or the low res GFS. Now in the European, they're going to show up with low res radar imagery. But our NAM modeling, the 12 and the 3K, will be coming out. Now, we zipped through that, and I didn't want to. But here's what it looks like as you go through time. And I'll slow all this down for you here in just a few moments. But again, the risk right now is kind of unseen. I'll give you some more information on this in just a few moments. They don't often put out an enhanced risk beyond day 3. And we've seen it all the way out to day 6. Now, the 30% risk was put in there, the enhanced, which means they want everybody to know well ahead of time. Part of that may not be an algorithm, or may not be mathematical. Part of that might be sensical because they know people are going to start traveling here pretty soon. So they want to make sure to get the word out. And so there's an enhanced risk. Now, when you get an enhanced risk within day 3, 2, and 3, it kind of means, mentality-wise, it means something a little bit different than when you see it this far out. But they want to get the word out, so that's what it is right now. And it runs from the Mississippi River. And if you just want to get down to it, and I thought you might, I wanted to give you some cities that were included here. Now, everything that you see is in a risk. That includes Mississippi, Jackson, over to McComb, Mississippi, you're in the 15%. On the left side, it's Nacogdoches, Texas here, and Longview, Texas, Tyler, Texas. It's Natchitoches, Louisiana. The NATCH is, if you're there, it's Natchitoches. It's Manny, it's Ruston, it's all the way up into Camden and Magnolia, Greenville, and cross it right there along the Mississippi River. That is all in the enhanced risk area that we'll be looking at as we move on through and into the next 24 hours. So pretty much what we're looking at, that's the Tuesday event that'll be coming on through. It'll be Wednesday before getting into western Alabama and southern Alabama with that slight risk. It would be on Wednesday when that happens. I want to break it down for you. Let's just talk specifics here and again take a look. So this is on Tuesday. That risk is the low pressure itself will be jetting off to the northeast, make it up into the Ohio Valley actually. But here's some of the reasoning behind what's going on. There's a low behind my picture. I didn't really count on that, but there's low pressure up here. And it's going to be jetting on the front's going to be outrunning the actual frontal boundary. Cold front will outrun everything. So that causes an occlusion on the upper side. Should be in purple here. But what we're left over with is the bluish area that you see. Those are dew points above 60 degrees. And normally this time of the year, 62, 63 is that point to where we get a little bit worried. The air's really juicy at 62, 63 and can rise rapidly enough to induce thunderstorms to take place, and eventually that whole severe weather scenario starts to break out. So this is, again, on Tuesday when it breaks out into eastern Texas, and right here where the arrow is where the highest risk would be for strong to severe thunderstorms, i.e. tornadoes to possibly occur. That shifts on to the east, but also gets squashed down to the south a little bit too, as you'll see as time goes on, as it moves further and further off to the east. So the dew points are high. That's a dew point map you're looking at right there. The actual frontal boundary, again, shoves its way a little bit further to the east over time. And as a result, I think we really start this out during the early part of the day on Tuesday, I think early on Tuesday morning, then passing on through across northwestern sections of Louisiana, getting into Shreveport probably during the day on Tuesday. Now, we talked about this. The enhanced outlook over portions of the four-state region this is only the 5th time that they've issued one in the day 6 outlook since they've been doing it. Now, not ever, because they haven't been doing it forever. But it's significant because they don't do it often. And in my lifetime, I don't remember the other 5. So it doesn't happen very much at all when this takes place. So it's the 5th time. I don't remember the other 4, excuse me, when this actually happens. So it's kind of a rarity that does take place. And again, I think they did that not because the machine spit it out, but I think because they're alert to, what season it is, what's going on right now, and that people are making plans and they will be traveling. So 3 p.m. on Tuesday, I think we'll be at the height of the storms across the Arklatex. I think they will have moved into Shreveport, Louisiana by 3 p.m. on Tuesday. This is where the GFS has lined the storms up. They go just to the west of Jonesboro into southern Missouri, but then all the way down to the south into Shreveport, into Beaumont, Port Arthur, probably by that time as well, with many severe warnings, I think, up and down this dashed line from north to south by 3 o'clock. As we move along into the latter part of the afternoon, or 6 p.m. into the afternoon, that line pushes on to the east, but I think we'll have cellular storms by this point. Again, this is the low-resolution radar from the GFS. It's not the high-resolution stuff. It's low-res. But by 6 p.m., I think there'll be more cellular growth that'll be taking place, especially down to the south, just like the last time, where we'll start to see individual cells along this thing, and severe will be likely once again, especially down to the south, across Louisiana and southern Arkansas. Some of those will be strong, and some of those will be severe, and that's 6 p.m. on Wednesday, and that's what the forecast radar would look like by 6 p.m. on Wednesday. And if you move along, the progression here is about 30 miles an hour to the east as it, kind of goes from west to east. It doesn't slow down for any one particular spot. So looking for it to continue a movement that goes on over into Memphis by 9 o'clock. And we have, those will be right along the Mississippi River there. By 9 o'clock, getting into Memphis at this time. Probably still have many of those severe down to the south in particular. Now just to the west of the Mississippi River. Looks like coming up and down the line, no matter where you are in northern Louisiana, that would be somewhere near the northern parts, Monroe or somewhere like that. And as you get toward the midnight hour, here's where it gets really kind of worrisome here. It's all worrisome, but after dark especially. And the GFS says we're still not broken. We've got it now. It's a little bit more linear to the north. This has been the trend for a while. This isn't the first GFS I've looked at. I've looked at them all since this all began. But it still paints some strong thunderstorms at midnight. Tuesday night, early Wednesday. Strong thunderstorms. They will be moving, so they'll make their way out of Memphis, it looks like maybe by midnight. But coming into western sections of Alabama, the northwestern corner along Highway 72 near Iuka, then southward to Jackson, I-55, going all the way down 59 to Hattiesburg and New Orleans by that point. And still some of those, especially down to the south, would be singular supercell thunderstorms, the ones that will absorb all that energy on their own and by themselves. As you move along to the 3 o'clock hour, 3 a.m. on Wednesday morning, still some strong thunderstorms coming into northeastern sections of Mississippi. Remember, there was a big tornado there not too far away from where Columbus, Lowndes County, Mississippi. They don't need any more storms like this, but looks like there's going to be some more. Into Hattiesburg, probably by 3 a.m. on Wednesday. That'll be on the line I-59 through the rest of the area there, too. And then headed on into Alabama, 3 a.m. on Wednesday morning. The bulk of the severe thunderstorms would come in about now into South Alabama. Still looks like there's some energy there across the north, and most of that is really just in the way of heavy rainfall and some thunderstorms and maybe some strong winds up there too, but weakening to the north is really what we're expecting by daylight on Wednesday morning, and still severe down to the south. It looks like Hattiesburg, Mobile will still have individual thunderstorms down there that'll be moving along and probably still maintain at least some of their strength, if not all of it, down into the southern sections of Alabama and northwest Florida because of those high dew points that will still remain. By 9 a.m., it's kind of scattered. This is a little worrisome to me. I've noted over the past couple of runs that the actual model is somewhat stalling the precip to the north in areas we just don't need it. It has been raining across Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia. For about 4 days in a row now, there's been significant, appreciable rains coming down. This would indicate there's going to be some amounts there, if you will, that are still pretty high, and still some severe down in the southern sections of Alabama and the Florida Panhandle there as we get into Wednesday morning and Wednesday night, and then weakening off to the north, it looks like, for the most part. But as that goes along and we move through the day part again into noon on Wednesday, it's not over with. In fact, there'll be some of the heavy thunderstorms coming across Georgia at this point. Heavy rain at the least, but scattered thunderstorms that may borderline being severe, and severe still likely down into southern Alabama, maybe southern Georgia, into Tallahassee, the Florida Panhandle, going into noon on a Wednesday. So it is not over with by then. In fact, some of the heavy rain still trails all the way back to the west across Alabama, which is not good news there at all. So that is the story at the moment of the way this looks like it's going to be happening as we move along through the period. And so much of that is going to be watched. We will be watching that as we go along through the period as well. The other thing that we're looking at here that we'll be talking about is this: the amount of rain that we've already had, and it's been tons, and it's still coming down. Now, right now, we've got heavy rainfall from Little Rock back over to Shreveport. They go as far to the west as Dallas-Fort Worth. Some of these are thunderstorms, too, that have the need to be watched into the short term. We got a couple of these breaking out down here into Austin, Texas. Some of these are strong thunderstorms down here that are moving right up and along the line over to College Station into the Woodlands area there of eastern sections of Texas around Jasper, and then coming into Baton Rouge, and then more thunderstorms along this area from Tupelo now back over to Columbus. Some thunderstorms that will be coming in. Some of these have some heavy rainfall associated with them, plus the threat for some strong thunderstorms with higher winds later on tonight that'll be coming in here as well. GWX is one of those radars that we were watching oh so close as we moved along through the period, and now we've already got this line that's coming on through. And it'll be making its way to Tupelo, I-22 here very shortly, over to Winona. That's I-55 that goes from Grenada southward into Winona, and then over to Mississippi State and Starkville, Mississippi to West Point and Columbus. Still some of the heavier rainfall there that we'll be looking at too. So these are going to be some strong little winds that'll be coming through with just this little first thing that'll be headed on eastward and coming into Alabama once again around Huntsville. Like I said, it has been pouring down here for days and days and days, and we still have broken showers, some heavy across this portion, this neck of the woods here too. No reason why that would just lay down and go away anytime soon. And the storm precip totals here, this is just in the end of the short term, are still showing us where we had a couple of inches here around Florence, around Athens, some heavier rainfall from time to time there up to Lawrenceburg. It looks like 1.5, 2 inches of rain up there, scattered amounts of a half inch or more all the way down to Gunnersville and Gadsden, Alabama. But like I said, these are places that don't need any more rainfall, and we've just had an abundance of it over the last little while, and hope to get rid of it here pretty soon. I hope that will be the case as we move on along. But showers and thunderstorms will be in abundance there as we go through the period. And then we get into the forecast, and let me just see. I think I might can show you a little bit of an addition here to the model. We'll go to the NAM, the 12K NAM, and see how much of this has come in. We only got 19 hours of it, so I really can't show you very much of that at all. It did go, well, it didn't want to fill in there. I don't know why. But overall, the modeling tells us that, once again, we're going to end up with some of the heavier showers. The thunderstorms that will be moving through will be very conducive to the upper level flow of a lot of moisture that will be moving back into the area very quickly as we move along through time. So going to be watching out for all of that. Let me see if I can show you a little bit more on the big satellite imagery here, because we still have a lot of this ongoing that would end up causing more and more in the way of flash flooding to occur. Check this out. These are some of the, well, that's too many. Let me do this right here. And there's how much moisture is coming in from the south again. It's still moving across the rest of the southern United States. Dallas, down to Birmingham, over to Birmingham actually, all the way up to Philadelphia and beyond. So we're still looking at all of that headed on eastward as we go through time. And that's just been an area of tons of moisture. And you can actually see some of these thunderstorms that are popping up here tonight have been producing some high winds there. We got a lot of moisture here and some thunderstorms. Colder cloud tops is what we're looking at here. You're looking at the colder cloud tops that are indicating to us where we do have thunderstorms that are arriving. Then back here to the west, we're still talking about some snow that's falling off and on across the western United States. It's going to be a pretty big deal coming in because we're going to have some of this that'll be producing at least some snows for the Cascades on southward, all the way down into probably the southern parts. I mean, check this stuff out that's coming into Yosemite here from the western side, into the Sierra from Reno to Carson City. All this is pretty heavy snow up into the mountains as you go just north of Fresno and even Sacramento. Some very heavy snowfall amounts that will be taking place here from Mount Shasta to the east where you expect it. Klamath Falls over to Eugene. You get a little break there at Corvallis tonight, but you got some of this snow all the way up here in the eastern Cascades that we'll be looking at, and that's the next system that will dive southward, coming all the way down into Twin Falls, Pocatello, into Idaho Falls, Boise, Idaho, and then making the turn and moving on back into western sections of Montana as we go into the next 48 hours or beyond there, too. But then you got all this moisture. I mean, it's just been packed here across this area as well. We got people from all over the world here at the moment. Blessings from Mexico. Appreciate that, Elena. We've also got, let's see, what else have we got? Do I have a team of people taking footage? Yeah, there's well, no, it's actually just me. It's kind of just me here at the moment. Yeah, my name's David Neal. Ted, nice to meet you. Teresa from Alabama. Nice to see you, Teresa. Appreciate that. Appreciate you being here. Love your work. You do have a team of people. Oh, I just read that one. Yeah. Excuse me, I was about to sneeze. One of my first times on television in Tallahassee, Florida, I said, I was about to sneeze, and I said, I'm sorry, folks, I'm fixing to sneeze. And I just come from Alabama, so I said that on television on TXL. WTXL in Tallahassee, Florida, my first weekend show. And I said, I'm fixing to sneeze. Well, the next day the phone rang off the hook. First of all, they said, get the redneck off the air. And the second thing was, tell him you can't fix a sneeze. You can fix a car, you can fix the side of your house, but you can't fix a sneeze. But you know what? I'm not on TV like that anymore, so we good. Penny was so upset with me because I told you it was raining so hard here, and it has been. It's been raining over and over and over again here for quite some time. And then I was working on some stuff tonight, and by Penny, if you don't know, I have a chicken that I rescued many, many years ago. Actually, it's been about a year. But I rescued her, and then I forgot to bring her in tonight, and so I went outside, and I was going to get a hamburger. But I went outside, and bless her heart, she was soaking wet. And so I had to take a blow dryer. And she was really upset. But if you don't know, I mean, if you're standing there, you're going, what in the world? This chicken, this is not a rental. I started to say a rental. It's not a rental. It is I saved the chicken from the side of the road. I was doing a live report. I'll have to show it again sometime. I was doing a live report, and she was underneath a bush during a snowstorm. And I picked her up, and I brought her home. You know, she's got a little dinosaur in her. I can look at her, and I can see the dinosaur. You know, they say dinosaurs maybe had feathers. I can kind of see that. I can look at it, and I can see. I mean, her feet especially. She doesn't have soft feet, that's for sure. Anyway, what were we talking about? We were talking about something. I wanted to answer some questions. She's big. No, you know that song? I always sing about it because when I used to sing that song to my kids, roll them up, throw them in a pan, something, big fat hen. She's a big fat hen, that's for sure. She can eat more. Oh, my gosh. And she don't mind what she eats, too. She'll eat chicken. What can I say? Nick, you had a chicken when you were a kid? Well, that's cool. She had to wash her one time. My brother, who was at 3 at the time, tried to wash her, but he left her cold and wet outside. We had to warm her up after that. Now, there's a story for you. I just had to use a blow dryer to kind of warm her up there for a few minutes. She was soaking wet. Paul, what's up? From OKC, Oklahoma City. I think you're out of it this time, Paul. The severe weather. Anyway. Let's see. Penny is running the camera. Oh, she ate more like a pig tonight than anything, though. You got weather questions for me? Because I want to answer some weather questions. I'm not going to go get Penny. Last time I brought Penny up here, I woke her up and she was pissed. She was so mad at me for days. She pooped down my back. Just turned in from Abilene, Texas. I never really been there. I covered a hurricane once. I guess the closest I ever got to Abilene was I drove. That's not even close. I was thinking San Antonio. I drove all the way to Matamoros, Mexico one time for a hurricane back in the 80s. I drove down here in Mexico. There was a Hurricane Gilbert, that was way out here, and it had the lowest barometric pressure ever recorded before several since then. But I drove from there, picked up 2 friends who worked at the Weather Channel, and we drove all the way down to Matamoros, Mexico, to catch that hurricane when it came on shore. But I've never been to Abilene. I was trying to think why. It's not a personal thing. I love Abilene, but I've never been there, I don't guess. I was in Denver, and I drove that way a couple times down to Dallas and around to try to come back to Alabama, but pretty much it. We had chickens when I was young. We also ate them. Well, that's just sad, Teresa. What is the Cape over Georgia? There's none. Not for this event. There's nothing exciting in Abilene. Is there a song about you in Abilene? Is there a country music song? To the Abilene. If there's not, there should be. Seems like there's a country music song. Something about Abilene. I was in Abilene and she was so mean. I think. I don't know. What else we got? Who else we got? Questions. Blessings from Mexico. Wait a minute. I saw something from Australia earlier. Did I or didn't I? I made that up. Stockbridge, Georgia. You got people. Well, I haven't got any people. Hey, I live eastern corner of Queensland in Brisbane in Australia, and you can look at the weather and do think this is a high risk. You still there? Tyler, Sherry? Tyler, are you still there? Sweet Eileen is in Abilene? Is that part of the song? Sweet Eileen is in Abilene? Or I might just be making that up. I don't know. Is somebody from Australia still here? 'Cause you know what? I got that. Look what's right here. There's some Brisbane. I don't know what I got that goes down there, but I got something, I think. We don't have radar down there. I might have a satellite image from down there. Let me see. I bet I don't either. North Pacific, Hawaii, Atlantic Basin. We'll just have to get them on this because I don't see one, but Waylon Jennings sings a song, Abilene. All right. See, I love Waylon Jennings. If he's still alive. Is Waylon alive? Waylon and Willie and the gang. So we do have they issued a little MCD. We can actually do this because I wanna. And we'll just use FWS here for a moment. Or GWK. Let's use GWK here, and we'll look at the radar because we've got some stuff going on here. In fact, they just issued a discussion, a mesoscale discussion that we can look at. We'll turn it on here, and let's see if it came in. Hasn't come in just yet, but it will momentarily because they were talking about whether or not they were going to issue some sort of a watch. But they give it a 5% probability of a watch here, so don't expect a watch. If you're waiting to see a watch, it's a 5% chance, so I wouldn't be waiting up very long for that. But look at this. Over near Bryan, we got a thunderstorm or two there that have popped up that look a little bit weird. This one's near Wixon Valley or Curtin. Is it Curtin? Curtin, there's a lightning strike over the top of it there. But this shows up. It's got a little bit of spin around it there. It did a few moments ago, not as much as it had a few moments ago. But there are some other thunderstorms. Check out all this lightning we got. You know what? We're going to be doing, I don't know if you're going to be with me when all this goes down in a couple of days, but we're going to be in this mode coming up come, not Monday, but Tuesday. We will be for sure. We'll be doing this a ton. And looking at radars, you know what? The last time you were with me, and many of you were, like 13,000 views I had last time in 16 hours. 13,000 for one packet and 8,000 for another. It's almost 20,000. I don't know if they're original, but I don't really care. It sounds better. 20,000 sounds better than the 8. But anyway, this time I promise you, because I was just getting started, this time I promise you I'm going to have video. We're going to have Brett Adair. Brett's been working on his deal. It's going back into those same areas that cell service does not like very well into southern Louisiana and all that area there. But he's probably going to be more along I-20 that would help that situation out. He has a brand new way of getting some of his stuff. So we're going to have Brett's video that'll be in the screen full time, I hope. That is our goal, to be able to see out of Brett's car as we go along through this and be able to talk to him. And he's promised me that he's going to pay attention to us as much as he does with the major networks this time. And so we'll be hearing from Brett a lot to get his expertise, because this is my channel. It's Brett's channel, and I'm a guest. So, you know, we got more and more, and I need for you, I said this the last time, I need for you guys to help me out to produce. I don't have a producer, no. There's nobody in my room. There's a white cat over there on the bed, I think. I can't really tell for sure, who snuck in the door a few moments ago. There's a black cat that's in timeout downstairs. But it really is just me up here. So I'm trying to do all this. And I'm a horrible director. If you haven't noticed, I'm using this thing called OBS. That is the way to be a director for yourself. And the 40 years I've been doing TV, I've never directed myself, been the audio guy, the video guy, the producer, the floor director. I've never done all that at one time, so I'm horrible at it. I can talk, which I got in trouble for at school all the time, so I kind of knew I was going to be talking for a living. But the other stuff, I'm horrible at this technical stuff, so I need you to help me with the information, good information. I'd appreciate it if you have something to pass along. If you notice from the last time, I don't like false information. Don't like people to give their own personal forecast for what's about to happen. If you want to get yanked out, start giving your own forecast, because I don't like it. It's misinformation. It gets people thinking stuff that, well, that's not what this is for. If you want your own channel, then do that. But everybody can't give their opinion. Is that bad? Is that pissy? I just can't. I mean, the last time I kept looking up, and some people were saying, well, now we're going to have a severe thunderstorm warning for this and this and this, and then that's got nothing to do with me. And so I can't pass that information along, because I don't know if that person is valid or not. So anyway, we're going to be doing this a lot coming up here. We will especially, we'll do another update on Monday. We'll effort having, I think Brett's going to be driving out tomorrow. So maybe while he's on the drive out to the west, we can have him on, get some information from him as well. And we'll be talking to some other people too about their expertise as to what is going to happen. Is it going to miss us? Some of the questions I always get. Is there any chance it misses us? Us is a big term, but is there any chance it doesn't happen at all? Probably a low probability. I never ever. It's the weather. I'm in sales. I have nothing to do with management. I'm a salesperson, so I pass along the information. And at this point, I'd say there's a 99% chance there's severe weather coming up. And you saw it just popped up there. That was the discussion that just popped up right here. So this is a little discussion for Eastern Texas, and they say, hey, watch is unlikely here. They put a 5% chance with occasional marginal supercell structure probably continue to be observed through this evening. The weak upper level shear observed currently and blah, 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 blah. The blah, 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 70-degree dew points, blah, 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 blah. Cape 800 with a weak but varying low level, blah, blah, blah. There's nothing there. I mean, they said 5%. That just means there's going to be some thunderstorms right here. And we know that because there are already some thunderstorms right there. So we'll be watching that LCH, the Lake Charles, Louisiana. I know there's some smart people there who are watching out for the weather. And so we appreciate all of that. The National Weather Service offices, they give out the information. I try to pass it along as best I can and just, also pass along a little bit what I know from years past and hope that I can help somebody to stay safe. And like somebody said, they used to watch me when they were a kid. I think that was the last time they said used to watch me when they were a kid in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And that's very likely because this is like 41 years I've been on television, on media of some sort. I started out when I was at Florida State University, and I was just, like 19 years old as a freshman. And I got the opportunity to do the weather there while I was in school at Florida State. And it was a meteorology school. Florida State's a meteorology school, so I was a freshman there. And then I was on TV, and you don't think I took a beating? So there's nothing you can say that would hurt my feelings, because I was on television at a town that was full of meteorologists. So I've been through every bit of criticism you could possibly go through the minute I went back to class the next morning after I was on the night before. And so I have heard it all. I also learned a lot. As long as you're open to what people have to say and their critique, you can learn a whole lot. And over the years, I did. So I hope that's also my goal is I'd like to, if you want to learn, I'd like to teach you stuff that I know that I've picked up through the years. And some of it's just common sense. If you just allow yourself to think common sense and think about the atmosphere as being fluid, it is very much a liquid in its entirety. And if you can think that way, you can figure out a bunch of stuff that is, kind of hard to understand for most people. Alton, that's very, very, very kind of you, Alton. Very kind of you. I love your channel. You're a weather freak. I am indeed a weather freak. Since I was a kid, I used to do the weather. I'm not really sure. I was like 10 or 11, and they used to let me do the weather in elementary school. I would come in early in elementary school, and they would let me do the weather over the intercom. I would study before I got to school, and I'd do the weather over the intercom at Mitchell Elementary School in Gadsden, Alabama. So I've been doing it for a long, long time. Jonathan, you have OBS and you know how to do it. I don't have a clue. I still don't have a clue. That's why. Right now, it's pretty easy. I got me right there. My light's out of whack. See, a cat already screwed my light up. And then I got that, but don't ask me to do a whole lot of tricky stuff there with it. Do you have a college station? I do have a college station. Okay. Josh see with me. Yeah, Brett came to me when he was just a baby. Brett was like in his teens the first time I heard from him. I was a chief in Birmingham, Alabama, and Brett contacted me when he was just a young lad. So I've known him for many, many, many years. We go way, way, way back. I want to run through this again real quick because I think I have like 5 more minutes unless somebody asks some questions. But I want to run through this one more time here just in case you missed this at the very beginning, because here's what we're looking at again. We have an enhanced risk, which 5 other times this has happened where they've issued an enhanced risk in day 6. They don't normally do that this far in advance. So they're doing it now because of a couple of things. I think, one, just to make sure everybody knows during the holiday season, people will be traveling here pretty soon. And so the severe risk is like this. On Tuesday, it's at its highest risk. They don't have a risk on Monday just yet. They might come up with one. Maybe tonight you might see some sort of a risk that is in the Monday time frame. But right now they don't have any. It's just bam, there's your risk, 30% enhanced. That covers much of Louisiana, actually, and the rest of the area. The satellite tells part of the story. We just got tons of moisture sitting here over the rest of the southeast. It's been raining for days and days and days here in the southeastern United States. We just had a ton of it here, and it continues to come down across most of the state of Alabama, in particular Tennessee, westward all the way back over to Arkansas. Now some of the thunderstorms there to eastern Texas as well. This is what's coming in over the Pacific Northwest, which is the storm system, the actual low-pressure center that will regroup, reform over the Colorado Rockies, dip southward again, and then eject off to the northeast. It's coming in around an Omega, a jet stream that is going to be dipping southward pretty far down to the south before retrograding again back to the north. There's all that moisture, that flow that you can see down to the south. This is an infrared satellite image that goes with the surface maps, and about a gazillion high pressures back to the west, which just ought to make you feel, I mean, all that high pressure, you ought to just be squeezed down to the ground with all those. I think I see a 1039, which is the maximum, the actual center of high pressure. And our forecast goes like this. As we look at this point, I'll just show you the motion. That's at 3 p.m. on Tuesday over Little Rock, 6-9 midnight coming into Alabama, passing on southward, slows down a little bit. I think we see the winds a little bit more parallel to the front. As we get over to Alabama, eastern Alabama, much of the state of Georgia, that could be a little problem there with some of that getting hung up. And then passing on southeastward across Huntsville and the rest of the area before moving on. So it's a 30% enhanced risk there for southern sections of Arkansas, south of Little Rock. Just some of the towns that are included here. We're looking at Mansfield, Shreveport, Louisiana, Natchitoches, all the way down to Marksville and Bunkie into Natchez, Mississippi along the Mississippi River. That's the jagged line on the right-hand side you see. And into southern Arkansas there too, or the western edge of Mississippi. It's a 15% chance throughout the rest of the region there. You can see it goes up I-55, if you will, and all the way back across Hattiesburg, New Orleans, into Lafayette, into Beaumont, Port Arthur. It's a low pressure that'll be diving southward and then move northward, but it ejects off to the northeast and really sucks up some warm moisture coming in out of the Gulf of Mexico, and just those dew point conditions will jet northward as a result. So going to end up with quite a bit of moisture, I think, coming in around that. But the dew points, the reasoning for that is the dew points are going to be up there enough to where we'll be into the 63, 64 degree range fairly quickly, and that's just going to add the juiciness there and keep things that way going into Tuesday and Wednesday into that time frame there. The enhanced outlook, by the way, over portions of the 4 states, only the 5th time now that they've done this since they've been issuing these. Only the 5th time to have it in the 6th day. So it just doesn't happen very often at all. Looking for many severe thunderstorms by 3 p.m. on Tuesday across that region of Arkansas, and in the northern sections of Louisiana, too. Severe still likely down to the south. Some strong ones as far to the north as Memphis, I think. That'll be along the linear part of this. It'll be coming across the Mississippi River by 6 p.m. Dark on Wednesday. And then moving eastward through the afternoon, evening on Wednesday into Thursday morning. And watch it all go. We're moving about 35 to 40 miles per hour to the east over time by 9 p.m. Many severe down to the south, but we'll see less likely to have severe thunderstorms too much further north in Kentucky, I think, by this point. So that would be one of the situations there that we'll kind of follow and hope that does materialize. And then as you can see into early, this is midnight on Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, some strong thunderstorms still across northern Mississippi, but broken thunderstorms down to the south, and severe will be likely Jackson to Hattiesburg, over to New Orleans, and to Mobile probably sometime around 1 to 2 in the morning. Then 3 a.m., some strong still out there across the northern sections of Mississippi, crossing the border into Alabama at this point, so you should have severe likely down to the south, Hattiesburg, back over to Mobile. Those would be singular supercell, the ones that would be more conducive for tornadoes. By 6 a.m. daylight, heavy rainfall across the north, I think weakening in intensity, just like the last one, partly because we would have just gone through 12 hours of darkness, so stabilization would be taking place, but still severe down to the south, and more weakening as they move along, changing over to heavy rainfall there, but still severe down to the south, I think. We're still looking at the likelihood, the possibility of seeing some of those thunderstorms quite strong down to the south, maybe tornadic too at that point. And looks like a little bit more of that as we move along into the rest of that too as you get into New Wednesday. Heavy rainfall back over to Georgia, the rest of that area there too. And so we'll be looking at that passing on by and down to the south, severe likely there. So still looking at, this is, actually what you're looking at here is the likelihood of seeing some of those temperatures that are going to be more and more conducive with some 500 to 1,000 joules per kilogram in Cape. And I just want to show you this one quick thing here overall, because this is pretty, it's kind of telling here. And the reasoning for not having severe weather. Somebody asked me about Georgia and what are the capes like over here in Georgia. Well, a few things that I want you to look at over here in Georgia. And one is this. What's happening here is you got high pressure off to the north. This is we'll just say Monday at 9 p.m. is what we're looking at here overall. Monday at 9. So you got high pressure up here. And this was the same scenario that we had the last time. High pressure up here. And you know that the wind around high pressure, it's clockwise like this. So we're going to have these winds at the high coming down the eastern side of the Appalachian Mountains. Here's the Great Smoky Mountains right here. So the high pressure is going to push the wind down through here, which is cold. You can see the temperatures there around Roanoke. We got cold temperatures there, and especially the dew point conditions are really low up in here. So the high pressure up there is pushing air all the way down the eastern side of the Appalachians. It's called a wedge. When we see this happen, cold air advection, CAD, cold air damming, whatever you want to call it. I like to call it wedgie. Just because I'm childish that way. But the high pressure off to the north there. So you'll see these dew point conditions, and watch as I move along. That's 9 p.m. on Monday. And then into, 9 p.m. on Monday, all the way to the morning hours. And see the dew points, how much lower they are here in Georgia than anywhere else. And that is still because of the high pressure, the dominance of the high, off to the northeast, up here, and the air coming in around the high clockwise. And it goes as far as the Alabama border, the influence does, from the wedge. This is a wedge, a true wedge. And because the mountains are over here, the mountains keep it on that side, that south side, the wedge does. So the evidence of the wedge are these brown colors. These are where we're looking. I think we're looking at 30s. I mean, these dew points are in the 30s all the way down to Atlanta. The dew points are into the 30s. And you don't get high dew points until you get over here to Mississippi where they're into the 60s. So there's a lot of influence here from the wedge. This is, again, at midnight. This is Tuesday night. Wednesday morning at midnight, the wedge is still obvious and evident and present there, and that's keeping the atmosphere stable across almost all of Georgia. Even into noontime on Wednesday, notice the evidence of the wedge. It's still there. You can see it. This is the leading edge of the wedge. This is where the dew points are still into the 30s. as a result of that wedge. And it goes all the way to Atlanta, actually. And now the 60-degree dew points are being shunted well down to the south. So it doesn't really look like there's a lot of instability. This is fine. We're into the 50s here with dew points across Alabama. So I think anything that gets into this atmosphere is really going to stabilize pretty quickly. This is Wednesday again. That's why it looks like, that's why they're still believing that any severe weather would be down to the south. You know, the risk is down in here where they draw the 15% risk, slight risk on Wednesday. That's down here. It follows the dew point line. So if you put that into motion a little bit further, you can see as we go along, the dew points kind of satisfy themselves. And about right there, there's a warm front. Obviously, this would be considered, and you'll see it drawn on a map as a warm front backing up through here. This is a warm front right there and there and there. With, you could say there's a little bit of a low here, but these are your 60 to 70 degree dew points right in this area right down here. And so that's, the risk is going to follow that line. The slight risk will. It won't be up in here. This is stable. This whole thing up here is very stable. So I hope that makes sense to you. When you look at the dew points, it's pretty simple to see what they are thinking. Even the actual temperatures are still super low. Look at Atlanta here. We're into the 40s for actual temperatures at midnight on Wednesday night. It's in the 40s, and in the 70s or 60s, mid-60s in Montgomery, but 40s up in here. And you can see that's not because of the front yet that's to the west. That's because of the high pressure that's still off to the north that's bleeding back that cool air back into the eastern side of the Appalachians. Because, see, you've got a warm tongue that goes all the way up into here, actually. And if truth be told, if you wanted to draw this synoptically, and I know you do, if you want to take this and draw the synoptics of what this looks like, here's how it looks. You got low pressure up in here somewhere, and you got an adjacent cold front that runs like this. So if you're drawing synoptics for this, and you got a warm front, let me just draw this out as another color. Well, it should be purple because it's going to be an occlusion. So when you see it on the map, it would be like this. This would be an occlusion. It would run like this. And then back into a warm front boundary that would be included right in here. This is a warm front. That looks horrible, but here's your warm air down to the south here. So there's a huge occlusion, and then this is just all because of the high pressure that still lingers off to the north. And that high pressure system, as long as that's there and pumping all of this cool, dry air down on here, you won't see severe weather in North Georgia. Doesn't always happen, but the last two times, that's where the high pressure has been. High pressure's been off to the north like that and has just fed this eastern side of the Appalachians, east of Gatlinburg, east of all those areas there in eastern Tennessee. That cool air goes southward all the way down to DeKalb County, it looks like. Fort Payne, Alabama. You'd be under the influence of the cooler air. So what gets in there is probably going to die out pretty rapidly, and the only thing that you would have as far as severe weather would be pretty far down to the south in this region more than anywhere else. So the Panhandle on to the east there. It's just, this is cool. It's really cool air. All right, I hope that made some sense. So is wedge from the cold front keeping humidity down? I will be freezing in Michigan. Is wedge. Yes, but again, this wedge, what you see, this is the wedge. What you see right here, this is the wedge right here. It has nothing to do with the cold front. This cold front back here still has no influence at all on what's going on east of Alabama. This wedge is all about high pressure and the air that's already there being pushed southward across North Georgia and North Alabama. It just doesn't make it any further than right there is the wall. So you'll still have severe down in here. Please tell me that makes sense, because That's as plain as I can say it there. And it never really looks any better than that right there. It's never really just given to us as well as that is, because that is a genuine, bona fide wedge of cool air on the eastern side of the Appalachians. We got another thing coming southward, if you believe the GFS. Well, this is Christmas Eve, so I believe it. Some really cold air, if you believe in this. There's some cold air. Looks like it might be diving southward. I've been watching this for a while, coming in on the backside of a couple of Hudson Bay low pressures there. But the cold air's there. Sometimes we play where is the cold, and the cold's up there. It's over eastern Alaska, and there's some evidence that it tries to trough its way into the eastern half of the nation. Right about there, it flattens out. It doesn't really go deep down to the south. It flattens out a little bit, but nonetheless, it looks like it is going to get a little bit colder for the second half overall. So, all right. Well, I'm going to wrap it up then, and appreciate you watching for tonight. Again, I'll have something again tomorrow night, because from here on out, it's really going to change pretty fast. It's going to start to change rapidly. They will hone in on the details of what is going to be happening here as we get into the week next week. And I hope if you followed us the last time, perhaps you'll follow us again. I hope so. I enjoyed doing it the last time. I kind of ran out of breath for some of that the last time. And it's good because my iPad just froze up there. But I hope you will join us again and have some questions. I love answering your questions. If it's about your hometown, it's about your safety, it's about your friend's safety, whoever. If I can help out, I'd love to do that. And take your questions on. We had some really good questions tonight, all the way down to Australia. I love that. That's been awesome to get to talk to people far and wide. Over into the UK, we've talked to several people. I talked to some folks in Sweden and Holland the other night. Now, they may all be in Albertville, Alabama, and just telling me that. I'm a little gullible that way, but nonetheless, I appreciate what we do have. And yes, my name is David Neal. I'll be on here with meteorologist Brett Adair in the days to come. Heath Lawler will be our man of the hour. He'll be behind the wheel as we go through the next 48 hours and into the next 72 hours and beyond. And a plethora of other people will be out and about. We do have a lot of, I don't like to call them chasers. The guys that I work with, they're storm analysts. They're looking at the storms and telling us what's happening here. They're not all just wild chaser kids. So kind of, I'm a little bah humbug when it comes to some of that. I'm just afraid somebody's really going to get hurt. I saw the other day where somebody had a thumbnail that said, "We were 1,000 yards from being killed." And they, like, exclamation. That was their thumbnail. We were 1,000 feet. We were 1,000 feet from being killed. And I thought, or you could just step out of the car in the middle of a really busy road. If you really want to flirt with it, just stop in the middle of the interstate then, if that's your goal. I don't get some of that stuff that's going on. Don't get me started. I got to go. Lucy Ann Rose, so nice to see you. Elena, again, good to see you too. G. Ferraro, thank you so much. Daisy Cutter, Lulu, I hope you're having fun down there at the beach. And Jonathan, appreciate you as well. Patricia, really appreciate you being with us tonight. Gigi, Chad, and you as well. What I think of Tuesday's risk for Shreveport? Yeah, we were, that's what we've been talking about for a little over an hour now. I think it's real. I think we'll be on the air for that. And literally, I try to be on the air right, as a tornado watch is issued, or maybe just a little bit before. We always get a pretty good word about when a tornado watch is going to be issued. So that's where we are. Appreciate you being with us, and we'll talk again tomorrow night, probably about this time. There's a show on I hate to compete with. So I may try to be on an hour before that show tomorrow night. I don't know exactly what time it comes on, but anyway, until that time, we're going to say goodbye, and I hope you're having a good evening, and we'll talk to you soon again in 3,